What if Maul exposed Palpatine as Darth Sidious to the Jedi Council? The desert winds howled across the crimson landscape of Malachor, sweeping through the ruins of an ancient Sith battleground. Here, deep within a temple long abandoned, Darth Maul sat in meditation. The dark side flowed around him, whispering secrets of power and vengeance. But this time, the Force showed him something else. A shadow. A greater darkness lurking just beyond his reach. Maul's yellow eyes snapped open, and he bared his teeth. He had spent his entire life in pursuit of vengeance against the Jedi, against Kenobi, against all who had wronged him. But now, the Force made something clear. Sidious. The true enemy was not the Jedi. It was the Master who had cast him aside. Rising to his feet, Maul reached for his communicator. There was only one person he could go to. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kenobi had barely finished sparring with Anakin in the training halls when the message arrived. A secure channel. A voice he had not heard in years. Maul. Kenobi. The voice rasped. We must speak. There is little time. Kenobi's first instinct was suspicion. But then Maul said something unexpected. The Sith Lord who commands Dooku, the true mastermind of this war. It is Chancellor Palpatine. Kenobi's breath caught in his throat. It was an absurd claim. But then, he remembered something. Dooku had said the same thing. Back when he was captured on Geonosis, Dooku had tried to convince him that a Sith Lord controlled the Republic. He had dismissed it as deception. Now Maul, a sworn enemy, repeated the same words. And if there was one thing Kenobi knew about Maul, it was that he was obsessed with revenge. But this was not about revenge. This was truth. Kenobi wasted no time. He went straight to Master Yoda. The Jedi High Council chamber was silent as Kenobi spoke. This is the second time I have heard this claim, he said, standing before them. Once from Count Dooku, now from Maul. Mace Windu's expression was unreadable. Maul is a Sith. A deceiver. Perhaps, Kenobi admitted. But I sensed no deception in his voice. If he and Dooku both claim the same thing, then we must consider the possibility. Ki-Adi-Mundi frowned. If Palpatine is Sidious, if he has been orchestrating this war, then we are already in far greater danger than we realized. The room fell into deep contemplation. If they moved openly against Palpatine, the Republic would splinter. The war with the Separatists would turn into chaos. Billions could die in civil war. We must act, Windu finally said, his voice firm. But we must act wisely. The Council made their decision. They would not move against Palpatine directly. They would investigate him in secret. Kenobi was chosen as the lead investigator. He would be assisted by Jedi Masters Shok Ti, Plo Koon, and Luminara Unduli. But the Force had other plans. Meditation had always been Kenobi's guide. As he sat in the stillness of the Jedi Temple, seeking clarity, the Force whispered to him. It did not give him answers. It gave him a path. His vision darkened. He saw himself walking through ancient halls, descending into depths untouched for centuries. He saw shadows, lingering echoes of something buried long ago, the depths of the Jedi Temple. When he awoke, Kenobi wasted no time. Alongside Plo Koon and Shok Ti, he ventured deep into the temple's restricted underlevels. The further they descended, the more the air changed. It became heavier, charged with a presence unnatural to the Jedi. And then they found it. A great chamber, walls covered in Sith runes, the air thick with darkness. The Jedi Temple, Plo Koon murmured. It was built atop a Sith shrine, and in that moment, they understood. This was how Sidious had remained hidden. The ancient Sith energies masked his presence, allowing him to stand in the light while ruling from the shadows. Kenobi wasted no time. He returned to Yoda, and they formed a plan. The royal palace of Theed was eerily silent. A dark storm gathered over the ancient city, thick with tension. Beneath the golden domes and regal spires, 6 Jedi Masters stood hidden within the grand chambers, their hands resting on their hilts, their senses sharpened. They had spent months uncovering the deception, years suspecting something dark lurked beneath the Chancellor's smile. Now, at last, they would move against Darth Sidious himself. Palpatine arrived dressed in his traditional red and black robes, his expression as measured as ever. The room had been prepared for a diplomatic meeting, or at least that was what he believed. The Queen of Naboo and several Republic officials stood at a distance, watching nervously. But as soon as Palpatine entered, the guards stepped aside, revealing the Jedi waiting for him. The door sealed shut. Master Mace Windu stepped forward, gripping his lightsaber tightly. "It's over, Sidious," Windu declared. For the first time, Palpatine's expression shifted, just slightly. Not into fear, not into surprise, but into amusement. "You're making a grave mistake, Master Jedi," he said, his voice eerily calm. Master Shock T raised her chin, her dark eyes narrowing. "The only mistake we made was allowing you to rule for this long." Palpatine let out a slow, raspy chuckle. "And yet, here you are, so certain of your righteousness. So blind." Master Kit Fisto drew his lightsaber. "We know who you are." Palpatine's lips curled upward. "Then you also know that your deaths were decided the moment you walked through that door." The room exploded into chaos. In an instant, Palpatine erupted into motion. His crimson blade ignited, cutting through the air with unnatural speed. Before the Jedi could react, he lunged, his first strike aimed directly at Sassy Teen. Sassy Teen never had a chance. Sidious was a storm, his blade moving in blurs of red. Before Teen could even react, Palpatine's lightsaber pierced his chest, burning through his heart. The Iktochi Master let out a strangled gasp before crumpling, lifeless. But Sidious was already moving. Kit Fisto and Shock T lunged at him together, their blades swinging in synchronized strikes. Fisto's green blade sizzled against red, while Shock T, with her graceful Makoshi style, aimed for precise counterattacks. Sidious laughed. He batted aside their strikes with inhuman speed. Then, in a flash, he spun, his cloak billowing. His blade slashed across Kit Fisto's stomach. The Nautolan staggered, his green face twisted in shock as he fell to his knees. Before he could react, Sidious beheaded him in one swift motion. Shock T gasped, stepping back. Luminara Unduli and Mace Windu charged. Luminara's precision strikes came fast and relentless, her green blade dancing in sharp, calculated arcs. But Sidious was too fast. With a dark snarl, he ducked under her next swing and thrust his blade into her gut. She gasped in agony, her body stiffening as the Sith Lord twisted the saber before tearing it free. She collapsed, her dark robes pooling around her as her life faded. Shock T was now alone against Sidious, her blue eyes wide with horror. For a moment, she hesitated, and that was her downfall. Sidious unleashed a sudden blast of Force lightning, hurling her against the wall. The impact shattered stone, and she crumpled with a pained cry. She tried to stand, tried to lift her saber, but Sidious was upon her. He plunged his blade into her chest. Shock T, warrior of Felucia, fell without another word. Mace Windu was next. He and Sidious locked eyes. And then, they clashed. Windu's purple blade crashed against red, sending shockwaves through the chamber. Vopad met the darkness of the Sith. The two combatants became blurs, their sabers striking faster than the human eye could track. Windu's mastery of Vopad allowed him to channel Sidious's hatred against him, turning his strength into his own. For the first time in decades, Palpatine was being pushed back. With a roar, Windu struck, his blade carving through Sidious's defenses, forcing him toward the edge of the room. But Sidious had one final trick. His yellow eyes flashed with power. With a snarl, he unleashed a wave of dark side energy, shattering the windows, sending Windu flying. The Jedi Master crashed hard against the floor, his saber tumbling away. Sidious stood over him, lightning crackling in his fingertips. "You fool," he hissed. "The dark side is eternal." He raised his hand, but before he could strike, Yoda pushed him back with the Force. Sidious realized he had to flee. With a final sneer, he leapt into the air, vanishing into the shadows. While the Republic mourned, Maul struck. With the Jedi and Senate paralyzed by the assassination of half the Council, the Shadow Collective launched a full-scale invasion across the Outer Rim. He unleashed his forces on Ryloth, cutting through Republic garrisons with Mandalorian warriors at his side. He took Mon Cala, severing the Republic's naval supply chains. One by one, key Separatist and Republic worlds fell to his armies. The Republic, without the Jedi to guide them, was crippled. By the time they even realized what had happened, Maul controlled nearly half the galaxy. And he was not done. The war-torn skies of Sereno were filled with fire as a lone shuttle descended onto the Separatist stronghold. Palpatine, cloaked in black, stepped onto the landing platform. The war was crumbling, and Darth Maul was rising. But Palpatine did not rage. He smiled. He would let Maul have his moment of power, and then he would take everything from him. Drop the scenarios you would like to see in the comments, and I will pick one every week. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.